Hello, everyone. Today I'll be discussing how architecture and the built environment shape our understanding of identity, alienation, and cultural values. I'll focus on Michelangelo Antonioni's Elicles and Sky Hopinka's Anti-Objects. These works highlight contrasting yet complementary perspectives on space, with one critique post-war urban alienation and the other reclaiming cultural identity through indigenous philosophies of space. First, for a bit of background on the creators. Michelangelo Antonioni was an Italian filmmaker whose works often explore themes of alienation and existentialism. His 1962 film Elicles is part of his trilogy of alienation and critiques the dehumanizing effects of modern urban environments. On the other hand, Sky Hopinka is an indigenous filmmaker whose work reflects his Ho-Chunk and Pechanga heritage. His 2017 short film Anti-Objects draws on the concept of space as interconnected and fluid, inspired by Kengo Kuma's anti-object philosophy. These two creators offer fascinating insights into how architecture and space reflect human experience. So this presentation will really revolve around two key questions. Can architecture and built environments be considered an art form? And how do architecture and space reflect cultural, political, and aesthetic values? Both Antonioni and Hopinka challenge us to think about the emotional and cultural implications of spaces we occupy and the broader societal meanings behind those spaces. So let's start with Les Clés. Set in post-World War II Rome during Italy's economic miracle, the film critiques consumerism, alienation, and dehumanization in a rapidly urbanizing world. A key location is in the EUR district, originally built under Mussolini as a symbol of fascist power, but later repurposed to represent modernity and economic growth. Antonioni's use of stark, minimalist architecture reflects emotional emptiness and the growing disconnection between individuals in a materialistic society. Through its visuals, the film portrays a world where relationships and identities are overshadowed by the coldness of modern spaces. Now let's look at Sky Hopinka's Anti-Objects. The film draws on Kengo Kuma's anti-object philosophy, which advocates for architecture that harmonizes with its surroundings rather than dominating them. Hopinka juxtaposes urban structures with indigenous perspectives on space, time, and identity. Using Chinakwawa, an endangered indigenous language, he reclaims cultural narratives and emphasizes the interconnectedness of space and culture. His fluid visuals and poetic narration resist rigid functionalistic views of architecture, presenting space as alive and deeply tied to community and memory. While these works are vastly different, they share overlapping themes. Both explore alienation and identity, questioning how we relate to the spaces around us. Les Clés critiques the dehumanization of consumers' architecture, while Anti-Objects reclaim space as an extension of cultural identity. Philosophically, they diverge, however. Antonioni sees architecture as a reflection of societal flaws, while Hopinka reimagines space as a fluid and cultural resonant. Together, they challenge us to think critically about the spaces we occupy and their impact on our lives, and they can often change our views on these types of spaces. So for a recent pop culture example that ties into these themes would be the 2023 film Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig. The set design of Barbie Land reflects exaggerated materialism and perfectionism, mirroring Les Clés' critique of consumerist spaces. Barbie's journey to the real world parallels an existential crisis, questioning identity and purpose. In contrast, Hopinka's work emphasizes interconnectedness and cultural resilience, offering a counterpoint to the rigid individualistic spaces of Barbie Land. Together, these works show how architecture and space can symbolize broader cultural and emotional struggles. From these works, we learn that architecture is never just about function. It's deeply tied to human experience, cultural identity, and emotion. L'Eclisse reveals the emotional emptiness that can emerge from spaces rooted in materialism. Anti-Objects highlights the power of reclaiming space through cultural narratives and interconnectedness, and both works remind us to think critically about how spaces shape and how we are shaped by our cultural and emotional needs. So finally, here's a question for you all. How can we balance cultural and emotional resonance with functionality in architecture? I'm interested in hearing all of your thoughts, and thanks for watching.